Hi everybody, this is Christy. I am the Intimate Warrior. I thank you so much for stopping by, and as always, I send you love. Before I begin this video, I want to give you guys a brief message here. I have been seeing lots of people making posts, and this has gone on for a very long time, where they are, or post or speaking about the divine feminine. And the way that they have been speaking from like posts or even on videos that I have picked up on is about, more so about, how do I say this? How special the divine feminine is. Not to the point of the acknowledgement of the divine feminine, but as creating an idol, if you will, or something that is worshipped and holier than. Now let me explain. The divine feminine is essential to your ascension cycle, but so is the divine masculine. Therefore, none is greater than the other. So I have heard and picked up on people talking like, rise of the divine feminine, like, giving it such authority. We have to be very careful about how we are worshiping something. Both are equal aspects within ourselves. Both contain the highest value within oneself. You cannot hold one above the other and believe that you are going to complete your ascension cycle. It's like here in this reality, you have that word, feminism. It's kind of like that. Or you have the men, masculine guys who are, just so controlling and overpowering. You can't have it one way or the other. We are all equals in this, and you must see both energies within you as equal, because combined together is the God. Of course, once you get through your ascension cycle of completion, it is, you have to have the mixing of both elements that create that sacred child within, that creates the sacred knowing of self. All right, let's see if I can get to this video properly. I wanted to first talk about, let's go back to, I guess what did I have in my video about labeling the second death of the lake of fire. That deals with sulfur, brimstone. And it talks about what brimstone and in the Bible, which is the lake of fire, which also, of course, if you read or listened to my video and know this in general, it is Kundalini energy that comes towards the very end of your completion of your ascension cycle. So, hell, brimstone, fire, sulfur. Sulfur burns. And so I want to talk about this because sulfur, in my experience, is the number 16 on the periodic table. And then there are also 16 judges of Israel. And sulfur dissolves other elements, creating crystals. It purifies. It is the fire of hell. And so this is what I was trying to mention in my previous video about this, is that this fire, and it brought me to that saying that I heard in a movie, and what is it Pretty in Pink? Pretty in Pink, I think, when he goes hot, white, hot. I was like, what does that even mean, white, hot? White is so hot, yet not hot. It is, and it's so hard to explain unless you're actually within this part. And maybe you understood all along what white hot meant. It is so cool, so hot. It is so it. And that's what this lake of fire is going to do within you. It's a fire that burns but purifies, which contains the element of white within it. It is a part of the white lily flame that comes from, of course, the Holy Mother through the element of earth, because it takes place at the coccyx, through your sacral canal. Now, sulfur is also in onions. Here's my story. Let's see. I became allergic to onions out of nowhere about 20 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. Out of nowhere. I was eating onions, and then it was like the next day, boom, allergic. So for a good 20 years, or 16 years, I wasn't able to, how many years it was, a long time, I wasn't able to eat onions or garlic. Both onions and garlic contain sulfur in it. And you'll hear through lots of health sites and things like that, onions and garlic are a good form of anti-inflammatory agents, purifying agents. Are you making this connection? I hope so. I wasn't allergic. And this is something I've learned through my ascension cycle. But you have to be in love. You have to have greater understanding through all of this to understand what is actually taking place within you at a deeper level. As I began to wake up, I knew that every time that I was getting sick, that I was not sick, I was being purified. We're being purified. Illness is not a form of illness, it's a purification process. And if we are in a negative mind and negative ego, the purification process can still manifest as a disease here within this 3D reality. Then after I became more positive and worked through my faith and through my ascension cycle, about a year into my awakening process, I was able to eat onions again with no form of allergic reaction, because before I became anaphylactic. If I ate anything with onions or garlic, or even smelled the onions in the field, anything, I had an allergic reaction because I was very toxic. And every time that I ate it, the onions or the garlic was trying to purify me, and it was giving me a reaction. I took that reaction as, oh my gosh, I'm sick. And my lungs couldn't catch up to the negativity that I was feeling. And for like 6 months or so after my awakening process, and I was able to eat onions again. And I mean, I ate them every single day. Sometimes I ate onions only as my meal. I was catching up on lost time, and I was enjoying it. Then, after 6 months or so, I started to have a reaction, very slight reaction, just a little tinge, mostly in my tongue and my throat only. It never affected my lungs like it used to, or not as bad as it used to. And so I kind of had to step away from it. Well, I've been back eating them again, and there's no reaction. No reaction whatsoever again. Now, I'm not saying I'm not going to have a reaction ever again in my life, but the purification process, sulfur, through the element of the white flame, or through the white lily flame, is going to purify you continuously. We go through these cycles of our evolution, through our ascension cycle, through the seasons, through those doorways of always trying to awaken us and purify us. But, so this is where we are, and what I was talking about, that burning, or the flames that are so pure that are purifying us without destroying only what needs to destroy and leaving what is good. So that's my awareness through my cycle here of understanding even greater about my onion and garlic allergies, as to understanding I was really toxic, to now being more pure again in working through the purifying element. And so I also wanted to talk about the locusts. And because I saw that a couple of days ago, the locusts were coming. It's part of the 7 plagues. And let's see, in one of my videos I mentioned locusts are given the power of scorpions. Scorpions have its sting. I mentioned that I was stung in my leg, in my inner thigh, kind of. And this could have been a year ago or something like that. And I also mentioned in that same video that scorpions are also a sign of the Kundalini rising. Or about to rise anyway, okay? The process is beginning. And it also is that there is also a certain scorpion that is known as the vine garoon, if I am saying that correctly, that excretes a vinegary substance when it's aggravated, vinegar in the form of spirit. The scripture highlights that the locusts are not harmful, that they have the ability to clean, purify. And I'm trying to find the verse here, so please excuse me. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. And it continues saying, and it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God on their foreheads. So what the locusts are supposed to do is come through and purify you at another higher rate. They're supposed to leave all the good substance that you have created and take away what is no longer necessary. Something that I have gone through this weekend is, I know a blankness of the mind, kind of. A very emptiness of the mind. I didn't feel stressed. I didn't feel as if my ego was really working against me. Even though I've been going through this tightness, if you will, on my back, it also shifted to left and right. First, it began on the right side. Yesterday morning, I awoken with it on the left side. Remember, right is feminine, left is masculine, and both of them connecting in the center. Do you understand what that is? Both connecting in the center of the womb of the mother and the father uniting. Through the fall of the Luciferian substance, phosphorus, the fall of the angel, Christ fell. The Christ element fell into hell, to the lake of fire. This is where phosphorus, or the Christ element, is able to rise back up to become the risen one, and therefore Christ. But prior to this is when you have the CSF, you have the cerebellum fluid, and you have the spine fluid already mixed together. It comes back down again through the body, and it judges you. It judges the scales here through justice. The elements have to see what is left, what is toxic still, and what is purified. And it's going to remove what is toxic, what needs to be purified, while leaving the greatness through the work that you have already completed. The divine substance, Christ, the Holy Spirit, the Father and the Mother, are there to work for you, to help and heal you through love and the great work that you have performed, and to help it raise itself back up into the crown. And I really am trying to stop saying now, before the crown is fully illumined, all of the great work has to be completely done from the neck down. And this is why this doorway that opens through the bottom of the spine, the base of the spine, but through the top of the neck, which is the medulla and the alta major that I always speak about, and through the throat, but also through the sacred heart. Or the 33rd vertebrae, in other words. That purifying must take place even further through the body. But the purification through the body is going to purify the mind even more so, killing off the ego, killing away all negative thoughts, which of course is going to purify the heart even further through negative emotion. The divine substance will has to kill off the ego. And when we have gotten to this point, it's because we have actually learned to harness or learned all about the 5 elements, at least the 4 elements, okay? The 5th element. But 5 is highly significant. 5 fingers, 5 toes, 5 senses. Until we have mastered the elements, we don't have the doorway to the 6th completely open. It won't be given until we have mastered the elements, combining them all into one, creating the 6th. And it continues on in Revelations 9:5-6. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented for 5 months, and their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. This is 5 months isn't 5 months that we have created here in this reality. When we are talking about time, God's time, it always works within our DNA. When we're talking about our DNA, it's going to work with the 5 chakras. The chakras are wheels of time that work within us. 5 chakras must be purified. The crown deals with 2 chakras, the 6th and the 7th, the third eye and the crown. Both of these are activated. The crown isn't fully activated until the third eye is activated. They work hand in hand. So this is the beginning of activating the 6th sense. And so what I'm trying to actually say here is that this purifying flame, this white, hot, fiery flame that is purifying us, what it's doing is, because of what I just explained it through my experience here, is that you are going to get to a point where there's going to be more calmness within your mind, which means that the substance is going to destroy your negative thoughts and your negative, which affect or create negative emotions. You're going to feel more at peace through the mind. And how can you see if this is actually working through you? And yes, we go through these cycles of not feeling so triggered, yet you're going to go through cycles of feeling extremely triggered. You can only test where you are currently at and be very honest with yourself. I, again, have gone through a testing period for about a week, and I mentioned that in my videos. I knew I was going through a major testing period that I had to go through. Although they're very simple, I thought they were, I was like, I should be over this already. But as I mentioned in my other video, it made me go back to feeling alone, feeling abandoned, secluded, left out, forgotten. And those are the elements or the ideas that are still attached to both mother and father, but mostly for the father, because as you are getting closer to the father, you're eliminating those types of emotions. Because we have gotten so far from knowing our father figure, the true Holy Father, that, of course, detaches us from the mother, and therefore separates us from within ourselves. And so what I was saying is, if you have experiences after you have gone through your initiations, so that's what I've been going through right here, another initiation to see if I was able to rise above that and receive those elements there of completion. You can tell if you have passed or gone through that doorway by your experience again. How are you through conversations? How calm and centered? How is your mind? Is your mind completely empty? And your heart has no emotion, no attachment to it? That's what I have been going through. I noticed it pretty much yesterday, where conversations were taking place. There, the thoughts were just completely just empty. My heart was not creating an attachment to what other people were talking about. I was in my true world. I might have been there all alone, but I was there, and I was cool with it. I was fine with it. I was happy with it, and yet I was still able to interact without being negative in the mind and negative in the heart. And again, you're going to go through phases of your cycles. And if you're very honest, I know I was in alignment with love. But I'm not going to lie. When people would say some dumb things or things that had nothing to do with, true meaning of life, my head was thinking, if you only knew. Or how can you actually think that? Are you serious? That's how you know the ego is still working there. Negative thought form is still working. Spirit is still working to purify you. And if you are centered in the heart and allow the purification process to take hold, if you are open, if you have completely surrendered through love, you're going to finally get to a point of, it's like having a conversation, and sometimes you zone out when people are really talking about stupid stuff and you're trying, or they just won't be quiet, and they're just, your ears are hurting because they're just talking garbage, whether it's about judging other people. I know I have in my past, and you try so hard to shut down your mind or to close your ears off, you're just ignoring them. Now you're going to get to a point that you can still be involved without ignoring. You are conscious of the conversation. You're in the conversation. You can pick up on what they're talking about, but it's complete detachment. Yet you can still come back and have a conversation. And I don't know if you guys can understand that yet. I know some of you can and will, and some of you won't have any idea until you get to that point. But that's when you know that the death of the ego is taking place. True death of the ego is taking place, and complete surrender to spirit is at hand. So, and that's where I'm going to leave it hopefully today, and come back a little bit further tomorrow. It's with so much going on, with what I have been shown, there's so much on top of every single thing. It's kind of hard to get everything into one video. And I'm trying not to make such lengthy videos because I know how it is. You lose interest. And those last two videos of mine have been at least an hour long. and I'm not trying to take up so much of your time. So I'm trying to compile as much information into a short video, and I hope this makes sense to you and you can use it in your cycle. Remember, in order to, going back to the elements, when you have conquered the elements or risen above the elements or are in harmony with the elements, you are working through your experiences, like the emotions of anger, the emotion of blame, the emotions of, I can't even think of them anymore because I rarely feel these things. Every emotion corresponds with some sort of element of air, fire, water, earth, and spirit. All of those work with them. And if you have kept your composure or stepped more into love, you have harnessed those correctly. You've utilized those correctly. Now those elements are going to work for you instead of against you. That's all of your senses have been awakened from within you. You are one now with nature. That's what it means to be one with nature. Well, we have one more sense to awaken, to really be in touch with nature. This is Christy. Much love, health, and healing your way. I am bringing purpose to your life. Take care.